And again, I have to say that I'm not a finance professor, so you can use my help at your own risk, which is a pretty good risk. I would take it. Anybody who did well in week 4 can do the systematic risk analysis and tell me what it comes out to. It's probably pretty high. So first we're talking about stock splits and reverse stock splits. The important things to remember before you really get into the equations are stock split. So a normal stock split, when you split it, your number of shares rises as your share price falls. I want to put an arrow down, right? And then a reverse stock split is just the opposite. Your number of shares drops and your price rises. All right, and there are several reasons companies do this. Really, a lot of it is just based off value and what they see. So, like if a stock price rises too high, sometimes they'll split it to run the price down to, you know, encourage people to buy it again. That just means they want to sell more. And then a reverse stock split, if the price is too low or the company wants to buy back some of the shares of stock, stuff like that. You know, there are reasons they do this too. The important thing to remember that I just forgot. Is in this, your equity stays the same. So the value of equity won't change. So like if we had $63,000 in equity and we had 63,000 shares, if I thought for some reason, like, and everything was selling at $1, if I thought that price was too high and I doubled my value of shares and my stock price fell to $0.50, the value of the equity is still the same. The only thing that changed were my price and my number of shares, but the equity is still there, right? So just something to keep in mind. And really remembering this is where a lot of our questions come into. So we'll start with 20. Well, we'll talk about 19 real quick. It's talking about a 1-for-4 reverse stock split. So remember, if we're doing a reverse stock split, our price is going up. We're reducing the number of shares. And it's saying before it had a par value of $1. So what will the par value increase to afterwards? It'll go up to $4. Right? So 1-for-4, that one's pretty simple. And it really ties in, I'm going to erase this. It ties into all of the equations we're going to do. Actually, I'm going to leave that up there. So we're going to start with 20. Dallas Pools has 36,000 shares of stock outstanding with a par value of $1 per share and a market price of $38 a share. The company just announced a stock split of 4-for-3. How many shares of stock will be outstanding after the split? So again, we're splitting stock. Our number of shares is going up, right? So we have to remember when we're looking at this, when we're trying to figure out what our shares of stock are going to be, we remember this. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our shares, 36,000, and we're going to multiply it. We're doing a 4-for-3. So 4/3 is going to raise this number, right? This is where these values come into play. So we will just multiply it by that. 36,000 times 4 divided by 3 equals 48,000. And that's it. So if we move on to 21, Alfonso's Italian House has 17,000 shares of stock outstanding with a par value of $1 per share and a market price of $24.6 a share. The firm just announced a stock split of 3 for 2. What will the market price per share be after the split? So what we'll do is we'll take our market price, 24.60, and we're going to multiply it. So we're doing a 3 for 2 stock split, but we know this price is going to go down. If I put 3 over 2, I'm going to raise this because that value is going to be over 1. But if I put 2 over 3, it's going to drop it. So we'll do 24.6 times 2 divided by 3. And that'll give us 16.4. Yeah.
Hey, Greg.
Okay.
So for number 20, we did 3 divided by 4. And then for this one, excuse me, we did 4 divided by 3. And then for this one, we do 2 divided by 3.
Yes, because we are dropping this one.
We're dropping this price. Okay.
Yeah. So the price, when we're doing a stock split, the price comes down. And this is always going to tell us what the value of that drop is going to be. And that is where these come into play. It's important to remember. So likewise, if we were doing a reverse stock split of 2 for 3 or 3 for 2, we would reverse this. Now, again, remember, I'm changing the problem. This is the answer to the question, but now we're talking about a reverse stock split. It'd be 3 over 2 because the value of our stock price is going to rise because we're reducing the number of shares. So we would take that and it'd be 3 over 2. And our stock price, a reverse stock split, our stock price would be 36.9. Let's see here. And we can also find like the number of shares we're going to have. And just to prove a point, I'm going to do that. So we're going to go back to the original is 24.6 times 2 over 3. That gives us 16.40. All right. And we had 17,000 shares of stock. We're going to split that by 3 over 2. So 17,000 times 3 over 2 equals 25,500. So now 24.6 times 17,000 equals 418,200. And then 16.4 times 25,500 equals 418,200. So our overall value of our equity is still the same. We just changed the numbers we were using. Any questions on this one?
I do have a question.
Mm-hmm.
On 20, how did you know to put 4 over 3 versus 21, 2 over 3? Like I see that it says stock split of 3 for 2, but how did you know you said something about it going down?
Yeah. So this one, so what stocks, every time we do a stock split, our number of shares is going to go up. And
Okay,
then our stock price is going to go down. That tells me how I need to organize these numbers. So this is our stock price and we know it's gonna fall. If I were to put 3/2, I'm saying it's gonna rise because it'd be time 1.333 or something like that. And that would wind up rising our price, but it's a stock split, our price is gonna fall. Our larger number is on the bottom. Where our number of shares is going to go up, we put the larger number on top and it turns into this. And with a reverse stock split, the opposite is true. Our number of shares goes down as our price goes up because we're taking shares out and our price is going to rise the same way conversely. I think the word is for.
thank you.
No problem. Moving on to 22, the Peanut Shack has 3,500 shares of stock outstanding with a par value of $1 per share. The current market value of the firm is $178,200. The company just announced a stock split of 7 for 3. What will the market price per share be after the split? So first, we have to find our current market value of the firm. And to do that, we would do 178,200 divided by our number of shares, 3,500. 100 divided by 3,500. That gives us 50.91. This is our current market value or our current market price per share. So what I'll do is I'll take that 50.91 and I'm going to multiply it. Now our price is going to drop and we're doing a stock split. So my larger number will be on the bottom. And I'm going to take that 50.91 and multiply it by 3 divided by 7 and get 21.8 will round up to 2. 21.82.
I guess that's my frustration. It's like, why can't we have that little formula at the top? Like
Yeah.
that little box that you did at the top makes it all make sense. Like that's the gap that I'm seeing that I'm missing through a lot of it.
Well, and I have to tell you too, Julie, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put on my note card just some notes with some things. And for me, as Greg stated, like we know if it's price, right? For like just like going through it once or twice, now I know like, okay, I can make a couple notes and you know exactly what you're gonna do and where you need the larger number. But I agree. The first few times I went through these, I was like, what's up?
Yeah. It can be incredibly frustrating. When I did my undergrad, like we worked on this some, not so much the finance side, but we did like the accounting side of stock splits and also I've had a little experience with it before. So moving on to 23. City Center Pharmacy has 24,500 shares of stock outstanding with a par value of $1 per share and a market value of $18.90 a share. The company just announced a reverse stock split of 3 for 5. What will the market value per share be after the reverse stock split? So again, we just go we're going with the reverse stock split, which means our price is going to rise. We have a current price of 18.9. It's going to rise, and we're doing a 3-for-5 reverse stock split. So that'd be 5/3. And that would be 31.5. Moving on to 24. South Shore Limited has 14,500 shares of stock outstanding with a par value of $1 per share and a market price of $54.10 a share. The firm has announced a stock split of 7-for-2. What will the par value of the stock be after the split? So this is just the same thing we've been doing. We are going to take that $1. Our price is going down because we're doing a stock split of 2-for-7. Or 7-for-2 as they call it, but same thing. 2/7. 0.285, or if we round up 0.29. Good. Now the next one is kind of, I did not use any math to solve it. Well, I did, but in my head, because it's more like fundamentals than math. So a company wants to maintain a stock price of around $16 a share. Due to the recent market downturn, the stock is currently selling for $6 a share. The company should consider a blank stock split. So we're currently selling at 6. We want to be at 16. That means we're going to have to do a reverse stock split because we want our price to rise. But by how much? Well, if we look at the numbers, or, we could go very specific, but a 1-for-3 reverse stock split would mean our price is going to go up times 3. So 6 times 3 is 18. That's around 16.
I actually played with the numbers for each one and just picked the one that was closest. 18 was the closest to 16. So,
And it has to be a reverse, so it limits it down to those 3. And it's a pretty quick one. And I did the same thing with the next one. So the owner's equity accounts for Buell Industries included common stock of $24,000 with a $1 par value, capital in excess of par value of $287,000, and a retained earnings of $408,500. How many shares of stock will be outstanding? And what will the par value per share be if the firm decides to do a reverse stock split of 1-for-4? Well, we know we have a par value of $1. If we do a reverse stock split, our value is going to go up. So if we do a 1-for-4 reverse stock split, our par value is going to go up to $4. So we know that. We also know a reverse stock split drops our number of shares. So we're currently sitting at 24,000 shares. The reverse of that, when our shares drop by a quarter, or go to a quarter of what it was, so it'll drop by 3/4, it'll be 6,000. So for this one, admittedly, all I did was look at the 1 for 4 and figure out there's gonna be a $4 par value. And then I knew that our number of shares are gonna drop, so that made that one pretty quick.
That one was so easy now that you explained it.
There's a lot of stuff in there that's irrelevant, like the in excess of par value is irrelevant, the retained earnings is irrelevant. It's just meant to throw you off, throw in variables you don't really need. So we're gonna move on to 27, where we start talking about stock prices. The market value balance sheet for Apple Pie Corp reflects cash of $42,000, fixed assets of $319,000, and equity of $237,000. There are 7,500 shares of stock outstanding with a par value of $1 per share. The company has declared a dividend of 1.03 per share. The stock goes ex-dividend tomorrow. Ignore any tax effects. What will be the price of stock tomorrow morning? So we have to find our current market price. So to do that, we're going to take our equity, which is $237,000, 237,000 over our number of shares, which is 7,500. And that's going to give us our current market price. So 237 divided by 7,500, 31.6. And we know we're getting a dividend of $1.03. We know our stock price is going to drop by that amount. So that puts us at 30.57.
So Greg, for this one, to put on our little note card, can I do like PX dividend equals equity divided by shares of stock minus the dividend? I mean, that's essentially for any of these,
Yes.
any of these X dividends, if we write that equation.
Yeah, let me see. There may be. So like so this is ignoring tax.
Okay,
So it like for this one, it'll work, but the next one we do includes tax, which will throw it off. So that one, and also, I mean, he could do things to throw you off here. Like he could just give you the market price.
Mm,
And I don't want you to look at your equation will work for the question that we're doing.
right,
But if he gives you like the market price and the dividend, it's really simple. You just divide the two, but I don't want you to look at the equation and then be like, I have to do something with equity or something like that.
okay, if he gave us the market price, we would just subtract the dividend, right? Okay, all right, thanks.
So it would be incredibly easy, but the equation will work. You just have to know when to use it.
Thanks.
Moving on to 28. The Green Fiddle has declared a dividend of $2.60 per share. Suppose capital gains are not taxed, but dividends are taxed at 15%. New IRS regulations require that taxes be withheld at the time the dividends is paid. Green Fiddle stock closed at 36.80 per share today, and the stock goes ex-dividend tomorrow. What will be the ex-dividend price? So for this one, P X div will be our price minus our dividend less our taxes. parentheses is a pretty bad one. Sorry about that. And this is going to be the equation we use. So we're really just going to plug it in. Our price is 36.8. We're going to subtract our dividend, which is 2.6, less our taxes, which is 1 minus 0.15. Let me double check. That's our tax rate. It is. So we know this is going to be 0.85. We're going to multiply that by 2.6, 0.6 minus, or no, times 0.85, which will give us 2.21. And then we take that away from our price minus 2.21 equals 34.59. Any questions on that? For our last one, 29, you own 900 shares of Dell Hardware. The company plans on issuing a dividend of $1.98 a share 1 year from now, and then issuing a final liquidated dividend of 11.32 a share after one additional year. Your required rate of return on the security is 16.5%, ignoring taxes. What is the value of one share of this stock to you today? So we're going to use our present value equation with multiple dividends. So we're going to have our D1 over 1 plus our required rate of return plus D2 over 1 plus our required rate of return squared. I think our time comes into play here because our growth is going to go up a year. So we're going to have to double that number. So we're going to run it first just to make sure. So if we plug this in, it's going to be 1.98 over 1 plus 0.165, I believe. Yeah, 16.5% plus our dividend after one additional year, which is 11.32 over 1 plus 0.165 times our rate of growth for the additional year, which is 2. Then we simplify these down. So this will just be 1.165. So we'll do 1.98 divided by 1.165 gives us 1.6995 plus this one we have to multiply. So it's going to be 1.165 raised to the second power will be, this will turn into 1.357 and we'll divide 11.32 divided by that. So we'll divide it by 1.357 equals 8.342. We'll make that a 2. It's not really a 2, but we'll make it one. We'll round up there. So then we'll add those two. So is that plus our 1.6995 gives us 10.04, which is the answer. So yes, that is it. Is everybody tracking that?
Yep.